Showtime. Welcome to Founder Chat. What's all the tea about, man? I wanted to have a teacup so I could do the.
Oh, well, I have some tea here.
There you go.
I
This
got
is
some
for the
tea.
this is for the thumbnail, Nate. The um
The Chat GPT.
yeah. So OpenAI had their first developer conference this week, and I'm telling you, man, I am obsessed with this GPT marketplace idea. I've been consuming content nonstop since people talking about it and people creating stuff already.
Hmm.
Uh, dude, like what are your thoughts on it? Like, and I'll tell you mine.
Well, I think it's amazing. It's interesting because we had talked early too, and yeah, I've heard it a couple of different places. That like every time ChatGPT, or I should say OpenAI, comes out with something, there's like everyone's like, well, there went 40 startups. you
Dude,
know,
tell me about it.
every time they add a
You're right.
checkbox or something, it just sort of like wipes, a lot of people's aspirations out. But that's because we're early, and they're trying to, they're living off the host, which is sort of how it's going to be for a while. But I'm really excited from what I saw and kind of was following along. Um, I mean, it looks incredible, you know. So
Yeah.
I can't wait. And it's sort
Essentially,
of interesting because we've been talking, and we'll get into this, right? You and I have been talking about sort of these idea of creating purpose-built bots, and I think that's really how we're going to start to see it. Um, is not necessarily like this general chat GPT, which well, we still will, but I think what you're going to start to see are these specializations of the bot, with very specific tasks and qualities.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's what's really going to get interesting. And then you can kind of go in and explain a little bit what you were telling me about sort of how that marketplace is going to work, and because I think it's going to be pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for it's interesting they didn't call them apps and instead they call them GPTs. And
Yeah.
I can kind of see why in a sense. Because this marketplace I think is going to be a lot different than what people are expecting. I think people are naturally expecting an app store because they did. If you remember, they used plugins right first, and plugins kind of sucked. Right, they were broken and they didn't work. I think they just the creators didn't have the tools really to build them properly, and the interface wasn't that friendly, right, to use. But now with this marketplace, I was listening to the this week in startups. I forget who JCal was talking to, but they were talking about the analogy of Spotify, which I thought was made a lot of sense because Sam Altman did not mention pricing at all. And so when they talked about revenue sharing for creators, it raised a little bit some eyebrows a little bit because people were like, well, what does that mean? Like, what's the revenue share look like? Are you going to charge to use my GPT? How does that work, right?
Or can I charge, right?
Or can
Yes.
I charge, right? And so I think the way it's going to work, and it kind of makes sense, is more like Spotify, right? You pay $20 a month for unlimited streams, right? Um,
Hmm.
Again, I use the analogy of the App Store first because the App Store still to this day, even though there's millions of apps, has a lot of friction, right? You have to be a developer to publish apps, and then you set a price, and then you have a revenue share from that point. So there's a lot of friction, right, to get people to use apps. But with this
Right.
marketplace, I think it's going to be more like Spotify, where you pay a price and then you use whatever GPT you need as unlimited amount of times.
Right.
And so if you imagine we're $20 a month users for unlimited use,
Hmm.
but I keep using the sous chef or the writing coach, right? That you keep seeing here. But let's say that's a third party GPT that I keep using. Maybe they're getting a cent every time I interact with it, right?
Yeah.
I'm prompted, right? And so you imagine over thousands or millions of prompts or usage, per day, but that could add up over time, right?
Yeah.
Any anybody can upload a podcast or music to Spotify today, right? And so there's
And
probably
make money if it's downloaded enough or listened to
exactly,
enough.
or it sits there on collecting dust, right?
Yeah.
But there's little friction to do it, and
Right.
anyone can do it. And so it becomes an issue of how many times is it played. Therefore,
Yes.
the best stuff comes to the top,
Right.
right? And then they make the most money.
Right.
That's why you see a lot of people that do podcasts and stuff like that, right? They end up being able to sort of revenue share from that over time. And so I think
Right.
it might be a little bit like that. But what's interesting to me is I think that a lot like maybe music's the closest thing to it, maybe not apps. If you're giving anyone that much control to create, and especially the people that are not developers, and in some sense not even creatives,
Hmm.
think about it. Just anyone with any specific knowledge in any niche area could go in there and create a GPT and put it up on this marketplace.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a game changer. How many niches are out there?
Right. And you don't even necessarily have to be an expert necessarily. Let's just say I have access to, um, you know, I'm thinking like ancient Greek philosophy or something, right? Or you do something, you're not even necessarily the author of this stuff, but you
Now,
just happen to have sort of a collection of this
you
stuff.
could be a
You can sort
curator.
of, yeah, exactly. You can sort of make it an expert in this field and then set it loose and let people interact with it. Um, That's really incredible, and I like you. I mean, even imagine this is something that I've kind of I've seen sort of talked about and sort of mentioned as as kind of a hot button issue in terms of copyright, but authors like it's if you talk to ChatGPT, you can sometimes ask it about specific books, and it will give you summaries and whatnot of that book, um, assuming it read it, right? And so imagine as an author or as a publisher being able to
Exactly
say, hey,
right.
look, you could read that book if you want, or you could chat with the book, right? The book, not whatever, because again, ChatGPT and OpenAI are like, well, we didn't exactly go and buy the book and let it read it, but you could say, here, we've uploaded the entire novel, we have entire this or the whole all the volumes of this thing. Go and talk to it. You can ask it exactly what you're looking for, or have it walk you through exactly what was written, and you don't even have to read the dang book anymore. It's like Cliff Notes on steroids.
Yep.
Or it's like I would say better because it's almost like talking to the author, and I think that's this. It's just crazy. It's just
And
crazy.
I think too that when you think about copyright or infringement on
Yes.
copyrighted material, I think they'll be able to solve that too. But because imagine, think about YouTube, right? Before they used to go and pull videos down, right? That
Yeah.
were
Yes. Yes.
copyrighted music or
Yes.
whatever it was, and then what did they do? What they end up doing is they ended up attributing, they using technology to figure it out and say,
Figure out
oh,
who it belongs to. Right.
this belongs to that person, and then now all of a sudden, if there's the attribution goes to the artist, right? And if there's money involved, if it's monetized, then they get a cut just as
Yes.
well as you do. And
Right.
so this is no different, like
Right.
let's say you're a Harry Potter um, you know, enthusiast, but you're like super deep into it, right?
Right.
There's nothing stopping a random person from uploading all the novels into the model and then training it to be super deep, right? Or Star Wars or whatever it is, right?
Right.
But then once this thing becomes popular, your bot starts to get popular, then all of a sudden Disney cares, right? Or Universal or whoever.
Right.
And all they got to do is lay claim, say that Harry Potter is property of
Yeah.
Universal or
Right.
Warner Brothers, whatever, and then you just put a disclaimer on the bot, right? And so if you're making money off it, so are they. But
Right.
you put in all the work, of
Yes.
training the bot and setting it up and
Yeah. I mean,
um,
why wouldn't J.K. Rowling just say, "Hey, I've uploaded all this stuff. Go talk to Harry." You
yeah,
know,
imagine uploading that and then all the backstories.
right? Your next thing is, and you don't even release the book. You're just like, it's all in there. You got to talk to it to figure it out, dude. Imagine like some mystery novel or something like that, where you have to like that's the only way to like figure it out is to talk to it, and you have to solve something. That's gonna get crazy.
It is.
And I
It
think
is.
it's such an interesting way. I mean, I could see what's interesting. You're talking about copywriting. This could sort of be a sort of a workaround where I don't know if this will happen, but I could see a situation where eventually they say, you know what, we're going to shut down this general chat GPT. And the only way is really through these other artists. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're going to have to sort of peruse, but you can also create like an agent bot that'll do that for you, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to go
Or
and search the app store. It will do
or
it for
the
you.
other way around is that the main interface determines or figures out which bots
Yes.
are best
Yes.
for you.
Exactly. That sounds like a great question.
Yeah,
Let me go ask this other bot.
right.
I'll be right
So
back.
you get into the world of like AGI and all this agent stuff.
Yes.
I heard another guy talk about and he used the word swarms. He said there's going to be
Sounds
swarms. Dude, it sounds like the
that sounds
Matrix.
ominous, bro.
I'm telling you, this stuff is getting weird, man. He's talking about swarms of agents,
Uh-huh.
and so what he was talking about was this is a slight deviation, but it's still somewhat related. He was creating a bot. No, he was creating an agent that creates agents for him.
Oh god.
So his point is, I don't even have to create agents one by one. I'm going to create a
I have
bot
an
that's going to
agent
create
agent.
agent.
Yeah.
And so he did that, and this was in a matter of 20 minutes that I was watching this guy. So he created an agent to create agents, and then he used the agent to create an agent that was it's like a CRO, a chief
Okay.
revenue officer,
Uh-huh.
and then he created a CMO agent. These are hypotheticals, right? And he's
Yes.
taking long descriptions of what these guys are supposed to do, right? What these
Right.
agents are supposed to do, and
Like a
plugging
job
it in.
description almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he plugs this stuff in, right? And so then now those two agents can come to the table together
And
and
talk.
figure out a product and how to make money. And then he said, what's to stop these agents from doing something illegal or nefarious? And he said, nothing.
Mhm.
So then you have to create oversight agents to police the other agents.
Right.
So now we're talking about the guys in suits, right? In the
Right.
Matrix.
GRP, governance, regulation and
Yes.
compliance. Or
Yes.
GRC. Yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm picturing in my head, right? I'm
After
like,
the lawyer. Yeah. The
they need
attorney.
it illegal. So that's what he means by swarms. He says it's not going to be as easy as, hey, I just need to create all these agents because I'm a small company, or because I'm a giant company and I want to automate some of this stuff, whatever, right? You have to create all these oversights on top of it, right? And then I was thinking about it. Imagine creating like an agent as a service that's like a police force that you plug in. You don't have to create them. Like you just subscribe to it, or an oversight, like you said, right? Like a kind of like you have like data privacy.
Yeah.
You
It's like
know,
it's like the mall cop. You get your own security.
yeah, exactly. But imagine you don't have to create it, so
Yeah.
it's unbiased,
Yes.
it's a third party, right? It's one line of code, and then all of a sudden you have an agent that's like,
Like a
whoa,
bouncer. Like
yeah, like, hey, hold on there.
let's see that
You sure
ID.
about this? Yeah,
Show me your ticket. Yeah.
yeah, it's coming, man. I'm telling you.
Arms out, arms out.
Yeah,
You know.
it sounds funny and ridiculous, but it's coming. Telling you, it's coming.
That's crazy.
Stuff is wild, man. So another news this news probably didn't get as much attention that it should have, but Elon Musk is throwing his hat in the ring
Yes, with
with
his,
Grok.
with Grok. Dude, he has, I just want to say this. Do you know what the word Grok is?
Um, I'll be honest, I don't, but I was listening to 3 or 4 podcasts or videos just today,
Uh-huh.
and they use the word Grok
Grok. Yes.
in the context of AI.
Yes.
And I didn't know if they did it on purpose or if it was some kind of nomenclature that's used.
All right. So this
So
goes
you got
back.
to educate
We
me
we
here.
went to we went to high school together, but
Yeah.
there was a book that I remember reading. We read in high school. Um, I was in Paul's class. Paul read it too. It's called Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein, and it's about this Martian that comes to Earth or something. Some Martian, and his whole thing. One of the things he's able to do is grok something, and it's never explained what it is, but it's sort of like this understanding, feeling, knowing sort of thing. And he's able, and he's and it, the book never explains really what grokking. It sort of does, but it's sort of this thing that he does to understand something, and it's sort of a higher level of understanding. So just leave it to Elon Musk to find. He finds like these like cultural like gems, and he just turns. I mean, it's just so funny. I'm trying to think of the other stuff he does, but it's just like the guy's just a meme engine. Like he just
Yeah.
knows where to pull like the culture context. I'm just thinking of like Tesla or SpaceX when they put the Rocket Man or whatever. I don't.
Oh
He just gets the references, dude.
yeah.
Guy obviously it's just clever naming. I love
Yeah.
it. Whether or not it does anything great, I have no idea. But the naming alone just makes me chuckle.
Yeah. It's hilarious. And all the memes too. He was posting like Chat GPT, woke AI, and then Grok based AI.
God, oh God.
So
You know what though?
he's just trolling,
You
but
know what though? Like this is going to be the future. I think that, and this is my hope. This is I don't know if I've told you this, but this is my hope is that we eventually develop like just like Chat GPT or OpenAI is doing, and we develop these purpose-based bots that have sort of these different these roles. And I can imagine sort of because we look, part of the idea is, right, we want sort of a non-biased sort of perspective, right? As human beings, we don't really even possess the ability to unbias our opinions or things, right? I mean, we have like survival, hardwired into our brainstem. So there's really nothing we can't separate ourselves from that. But we could probably program something that doesn't have those biases. And imagine a situation where you're like, we're going to create a bot that's going to solve wars, right? Like we're going to create the Middle East bot, the Middle East peace bot, and it's going to figure out really finally how to settle, you know, the Israeli-Palestinian, situation, right? Unbiased. Everyone's got to buy in, right? But it's gonna solve this. Like, how do you solve the Russia-Ukraine issue? Well, so the UN having almost like it's, or whatever it is, having sort of a almost like this, you know, I don't know what's the word, this oracle of truth that is unbiased, and yet it understands, and everyone's like, whatever the oracle says goes, and we all just sort of get along. Because I think the problem is we don't trust each other, like, because we know underneath it there's a bias. But that's always why we have like third parties. That's why the United States always kind of steps in with these Middle East conflicts, because we're far enough away, but we have sort of a stake in things. But people sort of just, it's a third party, right? They want someone else to come in and sort of solve it. A judge, adjudicator, right?
yeah.
That's what you want. That's the point of it, is someone who's removed who can make a judgment call. I see a day when a lot of this stuff is handled by AI, specifically these really specialized bots that do not have interference,
Mhm.
that can't be bought. The bot. Oh shit.
Oh.
What?
Hey.
Oh, come on. There's going to be something about that. Oh, dang. Anyway, but yeah, so something I see it going. There's a lot of good potential out there, assuming that happens. We're going to end up, honestly, we're going to end up like creating this like AI oracle that solves all the world's problems. Once like once quantum computing comes, you know,
Yeah.
full on, then it's just going to be like, look, let's not kid ourselves. We're a bunch of monkeys. Like this thing's got it all figured out. Like
Yeah.
let's just get along. Let's just, what kind of economy can we have if we all just, basically that's where our way to Star Trek
Yeah.
is is inventing something like that, and then we can just sit back and let it do the work,
Mhm.
and then not tick it off, or else we'll end
Yeah.
up in the Matrix, and they'll be harvesting our bodies for heat.
Yeah.
It
And
go
this
it could go either way, like
yeah. No,
utopia,
no, like for
human
real,
batteries.
in all seriousness, it does get weird like that because when we're talking about these agents, this same video I watched, they were talking about how that they're already creating bots to destroy other bots
Yeah.
that
Well,
are that are that are perceived to be doing the wrong thing or nefarious things
that's
or
that's the
that are
entire
not
plot
that
of
are not
Mate.
behaving.
Yeah, that's the entire plot of the second Matrix,
I
right?
know, I know. It's crazy, dude. That movie series is gonna make a research, like a what do you call it? A
Dude.
resurgence. Like
Yes.
you watch, people are gonna watch that with their jaws dropped and
Yeah.
say, when did this come out?
Right. How did they know?
In the '90s. How did you know?
How did you know?
And they knew, man. They knew. Just didn't expect it this soon and this fast, but
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Right. I remember Smith comes unplugged, right? Isn't that what happens? Neo destroys him, but then he just comes back without needing to be part of the Matrix. He's outside of the Matrix
Yeah,
too.
he comes outside, takes a human form.
Yes, remember? Oh, dang, that's right.
Yep.
Dude, well,
Weird.
yeah, it's gonna get a little weird out here. What have we done?
100%.
Oh well, Pandora's box
Well,
is opened.
a good segue here. There's a lot of money being pumped in to AI right now, and so I spent a couple of days in Silicon Valley last week. Went to hosted a VC dinner with about 12 VCs, mostly AI investors,
Hmm.
pre-seed and seed. And so I would say combined, you figure each tens and tens, probably hundreds of millions of dollars just in that room alone. That's going to get deployed here soon, right? And so begs the question: What the hell are you putting money into? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
With the stuff OpenAI is doing, they're literally killing hundreds, if not thousands, of projects instantly, right?
right.
By opening up all this stuff.
But
And
also
then here's
creating new ones in the process, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's just
This is the
yeah,
Llama Lounge. This was sort of the last end cap of their series, which we've been a part of since the beginning, and it was amazing. It was at the Hannah House in Palo Alto. Um,
Jeremiah, bro. He's like at the
yeah, what a
boxing
crunch!
ring with the mic in it. Are you
That was
ready to rumble?
the conch, bro. That's how he got everyone's attention.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
shit.
He
Of
said
course he's
too.
got a
He said
conch.
watch how I get people's attention, and I got a trick or something, and then sure enough, because dude, it was like 500 people in there, super packed, loud, and then you just hear, and everybody's like, "What the hell?" Um, anyways, it was amazing, man. Just the energy feels a lot like the last couple of waves that we've had, with the internet, the
Yeah.
'90s, and then Web 2 or whatever you want to call it in the early 2000s. This feels a lot like that, except it's accelerated, man. Like
Yeah.
at such a crazy level. And now we're in an age where, think about how many more VCs are out there now. How many more people know how to invest and, create things. And it's just like, it's so saturated too. But so everyone's scrambling, right? To
Yeah.
what do we do with this? I don't want to miss this.
Right.
So it feels a lot like that too.
Right. Well, it's interesting, and I sort of predict. We were talking about a little bit of this yesterday, but if you listen to one of the latest all-ins, I think maybe from a week or two ago, the guys are all sort of sitting around predicting, like, well, where's the recession? And they're kind of
Yeah.
complaining. They're sort of complaining. They're like, there's supposed to be a recession. Like all the
Mhm.
indicators sort of indicate that the economy should be doing this. And one of the things that they talk about is the fact that like VC money is all sitting in these companies right now that valuations are slowly sort of dropping. And it's almost like I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but they can't even salvage it. Like they're at the point where they're like you need to either like go broke or go public so they can move on, right? There's like a sense of like I need to close this book because I need either this money back or I need to write it off. And I think what we're going to see is sort of this, we were talking about this last night. Like before a big wave comes, there's the water recedes.
Mhm.
You can tell like a big wave's coming when the water just like it sucks all the water out, and you're like, where did that like a tsunami, right?
Uh-huh.
What happens right before a tsunami? Like all the water disappears, right? And everyone's like, where did this where why is the shore all the way back or the water all the way back there? And then all of a sudden it smacks you, right? And so that's I think what's going to happen here is you're going to see this drying up of kind of like everyone else and be like, okay, wrap that up if it's, everyone's going to trim the tree, if you will, right? Get down to what's still alive, take all that other stuff, burn it, and now we're going to be ready for the next one. And then this wave hits and I think everyone's just going to be I think it'll be what's crazy. We live in the 20s. If you remember the 1920s, right? Probably not a good example, but the Roaring 20s. That's what it was called. And
The
people
Great
were,
Depression.
well, that's what happened afterwards, right? The crash.
Yeah.
But up until there, like everyone was like, and we'll know it when people like when our parents are like, hey, where do I put this money? What do I invest in? Right? Because even in the 20s, like people were just investing in whatever the hell in the market and just, making bank, making money. I think those days are coming. Hopefully, it won't result in a crash and we spend the 30s in the Great Depression. Who knows? I'm just
Did we
speaking.
lose Nathan or the whole stream?
Oh,
There
I'm
you are.
still here.
We're back.
Okay.
Let's round the base here.
Anyway, yeah, I'm putting people to sleep with
Yeah.
my history talk.
That
But
one follower that was live dropped.
ah, ah,
So,
yeah, sorry about
yeah,
that, guys.
yeah,
Anyway, but point being, I think the wave is definitely coming. So
100%.
get
Keep
on
an
get
eye
on
on
top
it.
of it, or you're gonna
Get,
get
get on
wiped
those
out.
get on those GPTs.
Yeah,
If you're not subscribed to Chat
yeah.
GPT,
Wax that surfboard. Get ready.
yeah, get ready. It's coming. Um, what else? We have let's see, well, the holidays are coming up soon, so I'm not sure there's going to be many more events this year. Jeremiah predicts um, he's going to bring it back in the spring. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
focus it specifically on agents. So he predicts by spring we'll already be there, and so that's coming next. And then he predicts this time next year zero events. He predicts he predicts that's how quickly the losers will lose.
Wow.
He said it just plainly like that. He says, "I think we'll do the spring." Yeah, I think that's the bot saying wrap it up.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, I
that
think
is
it's time.
yeah. So, anyways, keep an eye on the stuff. It's happening fast, and we'll chat with you guys later.
Well, chat
Chat
GPT.
GPT
We'll chat the T later.
later.